I'll call Water Utilities Community Facility District to order. Roll call.
Chairman Wilson,
Yes?
Vice Chair Rizzi,
Present.
Board Member Biggs.
Yes.
Board Member Evans.
Here.
Board Member Grummo.
Here.
Board Member Nesser.
Present.
Board Member Schroeder.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay, agenda items. Approval for the minutes of the January 18th, 22. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, so moved.
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
I don't have any motions to vote on.
Board Member Schroeder.
Yes.
Vice Chair Rizzi.
Yes.
Board Member Nesser.
Yes.
Board Member Evans.
Yes.
Board Member Biggs.
Yes.
Board Member Gremmel.
Yes.
Chair Wilson.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, District Managers Report.
Matt.
No report tonight, Your Honor.
Is that all you're going to say tonight?
I hope.
I hope.
District Managers, or excuse me, District Directors Report.
Good evening, Chairman Wilson and members of the board. We're just going to give kind of a recap of what we went through last time, but I brought pictures for you guys so you can understand where we're at on this one. So, Superstition area water plant expansion. So I'm going to kind of jump out of here. So you guys are aware of our new project down here to the south. Here's the 4 square miles. Comes down from starting at Elliott and Meridian, down to Ray, past Ironwood, all the way over to Idaho, and then coming back up. So this is kind of the area we're talking about. This is a little bit better picture here. So the area I just pointed out, let's shrink this a little bit, is this 4 square miles to start with. But our first project is not on that. So it's our water treatment plant expansion. So we're going to be adding 2 million gallons a day for the first phase of this plant. That has to be done by, I believe it's going to be now March of 2024. So we can start servicing those customers down there. So this is the treatment plant expansion that we'll be starting with. And then there's a line, it's not very clear right there. But this blue line here is a 30-inch transmission line that will be installed at the same time down Ironwood Road. So if you can avoid Ironwood become June, July, I would recommend it. Because we're going to be taking up one of the lanes in on that road. So
Oh, those folks are just gonna love that.
yes. The contractor Garney Construction is going to be the ones doing that. They actually have one person dedicated to the signage that's going to be out there and answering complaints and phone calls to explain to people what's going on, because it's going to take a lot of coordination for that contractor to keep people happy because of the traffic that goes on up and down that road.
They're never happy.
Will the 24 be open yet?
That is the plan. So we're hoping the 24 opens mid this year, June, July, maybe August, and then we could start construction after that. We have a lot of materials that we're trying to do pre-procurement for to get ahead of it. So they're ordering materials probably the end of this week, starting next week. But like some of this 30-inch ductile iron pipe is 26 weeks out. So wouldn't start construction until July, August on it anyways. So we're trying to arrange that to make sure that it opens up so it relieves some of the traffic that's here.
Is anybody going to be doing any kind of notification, advertising or anything, telling people that they might want to start getting prepared to go down south to the 24 instead of coming up Ironwood?
As they build these schedules, we're going to start putting out the boards and messages of
Okay.
construction starting. We've had some minor projects go on so far. They tapped into our 4-inch to service some construction trailers and stuff like that. And it was a 2-hour backup the first day. So, but they had those signs out for a week ahead of time.
Yeah.
Didn't change habits, but it's the next day, people must have realized, hey,
Yeah.
there's stuff going on here. They took a different route and it wasn't backed up the next day. But with definitely a lot of coordination with the traffic out here. So that 30-inch transmission line comes all the way down here to the water campus, which has to be done in January of next year because this is going to service the first homes. So on this site, it's 3.2 million gallons of storage and roughly about 3 to 4 million gallons a day of water that we can produce there to service those customers to the south. So this is roughly like a 5-acre site. So if you're familiar with Public Works, where our tanks and boosters are down there, roughly about that same size.
Who's Hilgart Wilson?
So they are D.R. Horton's designers.
Okay.
So they're designing the water side. Wood Patel is going to be doing the sewer side. So they had hired 2 different engineering firms, and then they added engineering firms on top of those. So we're dealing right now with 5 engineering firms on the project because they keep subbing it out to see how fast they can get stuff done. So that's the first big phase. From this location here, we have a 24-inch distribution line that's going to head all the way south to Ray Road, and then they're going to be installing the 16-inch line to come in and service D.R. Horton's first 4 units right here. So this first 4 square units, they've actually started sewer line on these 2, and then next month they will start on the water lines in these 2 subdivisions, even though we don't even have water to the site yet. So we're working through that process with them. We'll also, at this same time, be installing a 4 sewer main that Darren's working on with the sewer district. But we have a non-potable water tank here on Darren's property that the water district will be managing because it's a pressurized system. So we'll have non-potable water rates to service. So we're going to be building a 1.2 million gallon storage tank here and booster station. And this one has to be finished by September of 2023. So we got a little bit more time with this booster pump station. But from here, we have another transmission line going down the other side of Ironwood, a 24-inch line that'll plug up the northbound lanes. So we're gonna have to coordinate those lines because one's gonna be going on the southbound lanes and this one's gonna be going in the northbound lanes.
Boy, you just really like to plan traffic, don't you?
Yes, so
About what kind of time frame for those 2 sides, from what month to what month, and how long?
we haven't got that data yet, but again, I think it's gonna be August. But probably they'll push for that first transmission lane and probably, we're hoping 3 to 4 months and then they'll switch over to the other side. They
So
may,
3 or 4 months for each side.
yes.
Woo, you're gonna make good friends.
As we get into it more, they'll decide if we're gonna have to move that traffic over, both lanes over to the one side, so they can go, and maybe flip-flop it in the morning where we have 2 lanes going north in the morning, and then we flip it over, and then they have 2 lanes going south, even though there maybe only 1 lane going the opposite direction during those times. So it's gonna be a lot of coordination out there, and we understand it's a very busy intersection, and we worked through it with the general contractor already, and he understands the whole scope of, it has to keep traffic flowing out there, so we're working through that.
I bet Santan will field some of those calls thinking that it's Santan and not AJ.
Yes. So this intersection right here, we were talking to him today. As you can see, I'm gonna blow it up so you guys kind of get an idea. So this is the flood control channel that goes through here. It's currently, the culverts crossing here are not sized correctly for the entire flow that could come out of their facility. So they're gonna be upsizing those. We'll also be running 3 24-inch 4 sewer mains through here. There'll be a 30-inch transmission line, 24-inch distribution line on this side of the road. On the opposite right side of the road, there'll be a non-potable 24-inch and a raw water 24-inch water line also that will bring water from wells that they will be drilling, one on this site and then a couple more to the south on Brookfield site, just on the other side of the road. So there'll be a lot of construction going on. This one has to cross the road, so we'll be shutting down a whole half of the road at that point, just across that. They talked out was just gonna take 3 to 4 months by itself because of how much is gonna go on there. Our pipeline will be roughly about 16 foot deep going underneath there because it's gotta go under sewer, stormwater, everything to get up and under there. So it's gonna take a long process to get through that. Just remember our time frames also, these are 6 months, but first the pump station, January 2023. We have then the non-potable system, September 2023, and then we have our expansion to our existing plant by 2024, January 2024. So within the next 2 years, all this construction is going to be going on. So very busy out here in this area. So
Do you know, because we're doing all of this, is there like separate cable and phone is going to tear this up again?
we're coordinating with the developer on that also. But yes, dry utilities will be coming in also.
At
So
the same
typically-
time? Or,
They-
Get them all in the same ditch.
yeah,
Again, You're noticing the tight time frame. You also have to get gas in here.
Yeah,
You gotta get electric in here because there's no electric out there. And then all the cable, telephone, all at the same time also will be going in this area.
just trying not to have as many suicides in Santan Valley with all of this going on.
Again, hopefully the 24 opens up by the time we get to this point.
It's still not gonna
We'll still be
relieve
backed
all
up.
of it.
So that's what it's gonna take. Again, a lot of coordination. Some of them are gonna be off the sides of the road. Dry utilities are not usually in the road. They're off to the side usually. So hopefully that, we can manage some of that. But as you guys are aware, the road's elevated all the way down Ironwood too, so you can't really be working too far off the side of the road either, so. A lot of utilities going in a short period of time,
Wow.
so currently, like I said, we have plans for roughly 400 units already in, and we're getting through that process. They've also, Brookfield is doing 1,200 units in their first phase that they have plans in for review, so we're reviewing the water side of it. Development Services is doing plats, we have our sewer district reviewing that, and then we also have Public Works reviewing roads at the same time. So, with all the utilities, all the roads have to be finished also so they can get to those homes, so, again, you guys will see a lot of action here in the next 18 months, 2 years. Do you guys have any questions on this so far?
Why are you tearing up my roads?
Can't you just put up detour signs and tell them to detour everything to the 24th?
We'll do our best. There'll be detour signs out there. I'm gonna guess after the first month of them being backed up for an hour, hour and a half, they're gonna take a left on the 24 rather than trying to get up the street, so.
Maybe we need to put up signs 6 months in advance.
We're working on that. I know Public Works is working on even lowering the speed limit now. It's at 55. Now that it's in the city, they'll be lowering it to 45. Yeah.
I think it's 85.
The developer's looking at putting in a traffic signal from day one at Ray and also at Elliott
Oh, God.
to start slowing that, the traffic down, leaving a little bit more.
We should
So-
really just think about throwing a roundabout in there too. Just mess it all up all
Yeah.
at once.
Why not?
So it'll be better when it's done. Yes, it's gonna take some time and it's gonna take a lot of construction and there'll be a lot of headaches along the way, but it'll be a nice place to
Well-
move into down here once it's finished. Okay? So we talked about all these projects on that overall there. There's our parcels. The last one I want to get together with you guys in, we haven't talked about it for a while, is our Verdi River sedimentation mitigation that we've started working down with SRP. They finished their study back probably a couple months ago, and they finally gave us our final report. And then we're going to enter into that agreement to start the next phase of it. The federal government approved it in their $1.2 trillion infrastructure package plan. So the federal government will be paying for half of that study to do the evaluation to see if it's feasible to raise that dam 50 or 100 feet, and how does that affect and what are the benefits of it to the communities around there. So they'll be working through that process. That's going to take 4 years to get through, but that's part of that agreement that we decided that we wanted to buy in and pay for some of that, and then we'd be a part of that board that decides how the water's dispersed if they are able to raise the dam in the future. And so,
And you all have heard Bryant mention this project quite a bit, as he refers to it as a legacy project. I mean, this is a huge deal, and I just commend Mike and his staff for staying on top of it from the beginning and saying we're all in, because we know water is an issue in Arizona, and you got to plan far in advance. And this is one of those just huge deals that Mike's done real well keeping on top of, so.
so these are a lot of the headlines that you guys have probably seen in the paper, and we get emailed to us and wondering where water's coming from, and we just want to give you a highlight that there's a lot of people excited about it, obviously, Scottsdale, Phoenix, SRP. So super exciting project, and hopefully it keeps moving forward quickly, and we keep getting the government to join in with this so that if we have some issues on the CAP River, as it keeps lowering and we have to go into a Tier 2B, and we get cutbacks, we have a different alternative at that point in time, hopefully with SRP, that we could provide water from them and utilize all the resources that we have here in Arizona rather than just the Colorado River.
I was in a conversation today, and one of the things that we talked about, approximately a little over 100 years ago, when, our forefathers were looking at water for our area and what they did, in building the dams and how it has really been, I'm going to say, a saving factor for the entire area and development. And one of the things with this proposed, I'll say, changes that they're talking about for SRP is we're looking ahead to the future in this, in the aspects on it. We're not content with what we currently have. We need to look to the future and plan to the future for future generations for people of the valley.
There's been some other recent articles in the paper. The governor came out, I think, about less than a month ago, that they're looking at $500 billion from the state to look at doing a desalination plant in Mexico and pumping water up from the Sea of Cortez. They're looking at other options. Obviously, this isn't going to happen tomorrow. This is thinking 10, 20, 50 years out. If the Colorado River never replenishes itself, where do we get our water from, and how do we provide it to all these customers here in Arizona? So we're thinking ahead, trying to get ahead of the curve so that we're not in that point where it's an emergency and we can't figure out where we're going to get the water from. Tess, you have a question?
Yeah, I have one little question. Your first bullet point, second sentence, can we stop it? What, when you made that slide, that thingy there?
That was
What-
one of the headlines. So this was part of the sedimentation that was coming into the Verdi River system, and that's what was spilling into the lake. How do we stop that? How do we stop all the sedimentation that's filling it?
Okay. I wasn't sure specifically what it was referring to. What do you, stop what?
Right.
And Mike, didn't they couldn't detain it or retain it, so they'd have to release water and not keep it back, or is it more just about the sedimentation?
It's just about the sedimentation. SRP, City of Phoenix, they all have an allotment of the existing dams that are out there. It's filled in about half or a third of their allocation so far in that particular lake. So they're trying to figure out a way to replenish their existing reserves that they had there. So they looked at several different options, whether they're going to dredge it out, flushing it through, doing different options. The best one that they could come up with and the most cost-effective and the most beneficial for the entire valley was, let's raise the dam. It gives that storage back to them, and then we can also serve other people from that storage if we can provide more. So that's what they were looking at in several different options to see what was most cost-effective and what was most beneficial. Any other questions? That's really all I had tonight. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Since we have no other questions, I'm going to adjourn this meeting also.
All righty.